uphill acceleration test. Let's go. Woohoo. Nice. Personally, I actually own two cars, one being this Tesla Model 3 and the other being the Proton Inspira. So the Model 3 will be my daily driver, which is for my daily commute to work and back, and the Inspira being the car for the more spirited drive, okay, such as the Genting Toge and maybe even track days. So why did I decided to change to this Tesla Model 3 is because before this I own a Mazda CX-5 2.2 diesel version. So before this, before the price increase for diesel, actually the car is very fuel efficient, where one tank of fuel of just around 100 ringgit can get me around 600 to 700 km. And after the removal of the subsidy, the amount for one full tank went from 100 to around 160 or 170. So that is I would say the main cause or main reason why I decided to switch to an EV. And another reason being is that I actually stayed in the landed property, so charging actually wouldn't be an issue for me. So for my past 3 months with this car, I've travelled a few outstation trips to Bentong, to Negeri Sembilan, Melaka, as well as the furthest one will be Kuala Terengganu. So the nearer trips, I didn't really have much issues except for the Kuala Terengganu one. And for that one, I wouldn't call it an issue as well because it was quite smooth. For now, I would say the most common hurdle or issue with an EV, right, is that it is with the battery range as well as the charging when traveling long distance. But the thing with this is that actually the infrastructure is, I would say for now, sufficient with the 2.6 or 2.8% adoption rate of EVs. For now, it's sufficient. But in a later stage, when there is more EV adoption, and if the infrastructure doesn't increase along with the adoption rate, right, then it will be an issue, I would say. Yeah. So for my longer distance trip or longer distance journey, right, I actually will use this app called Better Route Planner, ABRP in short. So this app, right, will actually help you to plan where you need to charge or where you should stop off. So which route is the fastest and most time saving for the whole trip. And recently, with my trip to Terengganu, they actually recommended me to only do one stop at the Gambang, which I did follow, and the accuracy and reliability is quite accurate, I would say. So with EV, I would say you need a plan before your actual trip itself, compared to a petrol car when you won't really have to plan, or you don't really have to worry so much about the distance, right? Because I mean, everywhere you have petrol station that you can top up. Correct? So the thing with EV is that there is a plan needed before your actual trip itself lah. So that during your actual trip, you don't have that much range anxiety or doubts basically. The Model 3 that I went with is the standard range one with 500 WLTP range, and in actual range I think it's around 450 km I would say. And this being my daily driver, it is perfect for me because I stay quite far away, so each trip out from my house to my working place is around 50 km, and per day that will add up to 100 km per day lah. So a 450 km range would last me around 3 to 4 days depending on how much I drive, of course. So I would say on average it's around 2 to 3 days I will need to top up or charge, because I usually charge around less than 30%. So every 2 or 3 days after I'm home, I just need to plug the charger and leave it overnight while sleeping, and the next day it will be full. So there's a lot of I would say there's pros and cons of this EV. Cons being the range or the range anxiety, and of course the depreciation, which I'm not really concerned about, and of course the battery cost. So the pros of this Tesla Model 3 is that the cost saving on petrol or diesel itself. The amount that I need to top up from around 30% to 100 is only 25 ringgit if I charge it at home. That being compared to petrol or diesel car is quite a big percentage of reduction, I would say. And another pros or advantage of this Tesla Model 3 is that with its software updates. So along these 3 months of ownership, I've already saw quite a few changes or improvement. I think first being the Spotify, although it's a small change where the Spotify, without a premium account you wouldn't have ads. So of course the major and minor patches or fixes to the car, and of course recently there is this new feature, and the more recent one will be the new feature of pairing your Apple Watch as the key pair. So you can actually use your Apple Watch as to unlock your car or as a key to access your car. Before this, it was just the key card and also the mobile phone via Bluetooth. So other than that, there is also a new feature, which is the auto shift. Although it's in beta mode, it is really quite reliable, I think, where when you're parking or you're doing your side parking, right, it will help you to shift your gear from reverse to drive automatically if a certain condition is met, like when you press on the brakes and turning your steering, right, it will auto engage into drive or reverse itself. So I find it quite interesting with all these new features, because with the older generation cars, the moment you bought the car, whatever feature it has, it will be the same throughout your whole ownership of the car. Of course, those custom modification, don't talk about that kind of things lah. I mean, if it's like a stock car or it's a factory built car, then the features are what you get even after the whole 5 to 10 years of car ownership you have. And with this Tesla, the other feature that I like or that I enjoy or take advantage of is, of course, the autopilot. So what you need to do is just click on this button and you engage the autopilot, where you still need to supervise. We don't have the full driving FSD, which is a full self-driving here in Malaysia yet, which I doubt we will get it anytime soon. So, but I feel with this basic autopilot is already very, very sufficient, where you will take the fatigue out of you when driving. Of course, there's some nag here that you need to put in some pressure on your steering wheel from time to time, and also you also need to, of course, focus on the surrounding when you engage autopilot, right? Because in my own experience, when engaging autopilot, if there is a motorbike coming near you, right, if it's too near, you actually brake quite intense. You do quite intense braking. So sometimes when I see motorbikes coming near me, right, I will actually disengage it myself. Or when the road line are not clearly mapped out, right, like there's sometimes when the line are very messy during construction or what, the car will actually be confused on the actual line, where at that time I will also disengage and take over myself. I'll say with autopilot on, you will still need to pay attention and to your surround. So going back to my experience on the long distance trip to Kuala Terengganu, right? Actually going over there, the trip was quite smooth, where we stopped at Gambang with... Okay, so I departed KL from 100% or less, maybe like 95%, and I reached Gambang with around 20 to around 30% charge left, and I top up in Gambang Gentari with the 180 kilowatt charger for about 20 to 30 minutes, which went from 20 plus to 100% capacity in like 20 or 30 minutes. So during that time, actually it's quite fast, I would say. 20-30 minutes, you just stop, you plug it in, you go to the toilet, you grab some snacks and drinks. It's already 20-30 plus minutes. So I would say it's not really a big difference to when you drive a petrol car and you have to stop anyway for toilet breaks or snacks or whatever, right? So this with the fast charger, I would say is still no difference. The difference is when the charger is slow. For example, 50 kilowatt or 60 kilowatt, where when coming back, I decided to stop at Gambang itself as well, where this time the Gambang charger is only 50 kilowatt per hour. So on a return trip back to KL from Terengganu, it actually took me around 1.5 hours, I would say, in total in the petrol station itself. Why? It's because that actually when I arrived, there's another car charging before me, so I had to wait around 10 to 15 minutes, if I'm not wrong, which I'm quite glad, because it may have took longer. So So after waiting for 10 or 15 minutes, the guy left, and then I'm able to charge lah. So so that is the not good part, because on the return trip back, the Gammon charger actually only has one Gammon charger. I mean, only has one charger, so only one car can charge at the same time. So I took around 1 hour to charge from 30 to around 80 or 90%, which is, I would say, quite time consuming, because this time I really would have to wait at the petrol station for about an hour. And then when I'm done charging, right, actually I can see there's another car queuing and waiting for me to finish my charge. So this is why I say before this that with the current adoption rate, the infrastructure is still sufficient at this point of time lah. But of course, with the increase in adoption and increase in infrastructure and capacity for charger, hopefully our concern of having an EV will not be that much, right? But then after this trip, when I look back on my whole trip, right, actually there are a few other charging stations or charging stops that I can actually stop, which have a better charger. For example, coming back from Terengganu to KL, there's this 180 kilowatt charger at Barker, which I should have stopped there, to be honest, which will save me, I think, around 1 hour for my charging. So traveling with an EV also has experience, right? So this kind of experience you will have a better knowledge or better understanding on where is the best place to charge. Of course, the app will actually help you to plan, but sometimes with your own experience and knowledge, you can make a better decision still. So in conclusion, for my experience with this Tesla Model 3, I would say the pros is definitely more than cons for me personally. And from my use case or my usage of the car, because another thing that I forgot to mention earlier on the pros is on the maintenance. The maintenance of this Tesla Model 3 actually is very little or none, I would say, because what I need to do every 10,000 km, right, is just to rotate the tires, and of course wheel alignment is based on whether it's required or not, and basically that is it lah. Of course, the wear and tear parts for brake pads, you also don't need to replace it so often because of the regenerative braking, where I would say I rarely utilize my brakes with this regenerative braking. Only when the sudden stop in front, I will utilize the brakes. Other than that is, I would say, almost no maintenance required for the motors, right? Unless it is faulty lah, then of course we will need to, for the first 5 years, I think, it's still covered under warranty, and battery is around 8 years and 120,000 km for Tesla Model 3. So at the end of the day, I believe that the true review still based on the suitability of the EV, depending on each person's requirement, right? For me, it might be perfect, but for someone else, it will not be suitable. And if you're staying in a landed and you have a backup ICE car laying around, I would say why not give it a try, right? Because I believe that the true review often comes when you experience it yourself. Yeah, that's what I believe. So if you own an EV or you are deciding whether to own one or not, please feel free to drop a comment below about your experience or any issues or questions that you have in the comment section down below, and share your thoughts.